Good morning! How is everyone? I'm on time today, 10 o'clock on the dot. Just putting my hair back. I hope you're all well. Today's Thursday, by the way, just in case you needed to know. We're actually watching my niece today. She's 5, absolutely hilarious. They've just walked to Little to get out of the house whilst I do this. But oh my God, she's so hilarious. Let me just turn that down a little bit. Okay, so today we're going to do, it's freezing here as well, isn't it? Oh, it's too cold. And actually, hi George. I've just sent them up to Little with a scavenger hunt. So she has to get like one piece of chocolate, one individually wrapped like sweets or something, her favorite fruit, her favorite drink, because one, we don't have any like child food here. So we're getting a little bit of snacks and then lunch. And then she can get like one toy under 5 pounds. So that's quite cute. All right, I'm going to get straight down to it and we can chat about that afterwards. So today we're going to do the woven wagon wheel roses. And they are so fun. Some people really do not like them. And some people feel like it's one of their favorite stitches after they do it. So I'm going to show you some examples because there's 5 here. And we're going to use these 3 colors. So the colors we're going to use are number 8, number 9, and 1025. It's the darkest pink. So these 3 colors, and you can mix and match here however you want to. And I'm going to show you some examples first, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first one is this one. So when you do your wagon wheel, roses, we're going to do the spokes first, which are just straight stitches, so they're easy peasy. And then we're going to weave under and over the straight stitches until we get a woven wagon wheel like this. So like I said, there's lots of different ways that you can do it. The first way is to leave a circle in the middle so it looks like a donut, and that's how I've drawn them. The other way is to make all your spokes touch in the middle so that you have no middle part at all. See how it's woven all the way into the center there? So it just depends on how the way you do them is the same. It just depends on how you like them to look. So that's why I'm showing you a couple different options now. So you can kind of choose what you like, you know? So there's that way, this way. We also have 3 colors, so you can experiment with how you do it. So you can do a light color in the middle for a little bit and then change to a darker color. You can do a dark color in the middle and then change to a lighter color. Or you can mix 2 of the colors together and get kind of like almost like a tie-dye kind of rose like that, okay? And if you are not interested in doing these woven wagon wheel roses, then I'll show you, I probably won't stitch it, but I'll show you how to do just like a regular flower. Do you know what I mean? Just a regular straight stitch flower. So if that's kind of what you're interested in, then you can do that too. So with the wagon wheel roses, first you have to draw the spokes. Now for these big ones, we'll do 7. And for the 3 smaller ones, we'll do 5. Now you have to do an odd number. And that's because as you're going around in a circle, you're going under one of the spokes and over one, and then under one and over one. And if you keep going around in a circle with an even number, you actually won't cover any spokes. You'll always go under the same ones, and you'll always go over the same ones. So that's why you need an odd number. So as you get bigger, as the circles get bigger and the roses get bigger, you want to use more spokes. It'll really like spread out your flower. I think this one I used 9 for this big one here, and then probably 7 and 5. So you can do 9, you can do 11, you can do 13. You just can't do 10. You just can't do 8. So you can kind of figure it out as you're doing it. There's a pigeon at my back door. Which one is best for which flower? So let's just do this one here. I might actually do 9 because it is quite a big flower. Yeah, and then we'll get started. If you're not interested in doing the woven wagon wheels, because I know a couple people said, I just don't like them. I just don't like them. Then you can just do a straight flower. And the way that we do the straight stitch flower is just to fill this whole area up with straight stitches like this. And you can go straight over all of these. Yeah, fill it up and it will just be a nice straight stitch flower and you can fill in the middle. Okay, but we're gonna start with this one here. I'm gonna do 9 spokes. You wanna try and get them even as best as you can. We're not measuring here. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I always do this with 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're not being graded, guys, okay? It's all right. I'm going to start with just like a regular 0, 0, 9, and I'll show you how to transition to a lighter color on the outside if you want to. So we're going to take all 6 strands, and you're going to use a lot of thread for this. So if you don't have a lot of thread in the color that you want, then maybe use 2 or 3 colors or choose a different color, okay? And you're going to have to do a knot at the end because we want these spokes to be secure. So the first thing we're going to do is stitch our spokes. So we're just doing straight stitches for this, all 6 strands. This is not very tight. I can feel it when I'm stitching. Now, some people like to use 12 strands for the actual flower part to make it really nice and like fluffy. You can definitely do that. If you know a different way of doing these that you would like to do that. Try. Or continue doing it the way that you like to do it, you know. I don't see how this fabric is so loose right there. Like I can't find it. I made it to say good morning, but we'll stitch later. Too early here to use a needle. I do feel that sometimes. Especially if you have like a deadline or something. So I get up early to finish stitching. And you're like, oh my gosh, I should not have done that. It's too early. So obviously this one, I'm not putting the spokes all the way in the middle. So this will have a circle of fabric shown in the middle here. So I'm doing 9. You could probably do 7 actually, but there's no real right or wrong way or like number of spokes that you have to have. It's just that it has to be an odd number. So if you do an even number, it won't work. Watch, I've stitched 8 or something after I've just said, make sure you do an odd number. Okay, I have 9. It's all right. Okay, so after we go down here, you're actually not going to go back down again and finish a stitch until you're all completely done. Okay, so this is where you might want to switch to a blunt needle if you have one or if you want to. Some people will use the eye of their needle to go over and under so that you don't pierce any of the threads, because we're not going through these threads. We're going under them. So you don't actually want to pierce any of the threads. So we're going to come right back up in between 2 spokes, but close to the center. And I like to go under first. So you go under and then over this one. So we do nothing. And then under this one. then over, then under. And then you get it. You just keep going round and round and round. So this is why some people really like to use 12 strands, because it goes a little bit quicker and you get a bit more of like a fluffy rose with it. So now we're back to where we started nearly. We're going to go under this one, which means we'll go over the first one we did. See? So we'll cover up that spoke. Now it's much, much, much easier to do the woven wagon wheels with no hoop stand. So if you're on a hoop stand and you're like, oh my gosh, this is difficult. Yeah, it is. Because you don't want to pierce any of the other threads around you. So normally, if I were to do this like for a commission, or, you know, if I just want to put one in my own work, I will normally do these first, because I don't like to avoid all of the other stitches, if you know what I mean. I like to just do them, they're done, they're finished. So yeah, we just keep going. They just go so slow on the hoop stand because you have to really like finagle, you know? Oh, thank you. Inspired by Flowers says, absolutely love how you explain all those little details. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like I talk too much about it, you know? People are like, we get it, just let us do it. Like, just get to the point, please. But I also feel like that's why the Stitchalongs are such good money. Like, obviously, this is a free Stitchalong. But that's why, like, when I do have the paid Stitchalongs, they're only, like, $14, $15 for an entire month of instruction. Like, that is good. That's really good, I feel. Okay, so we're going to keep going round and round and round. And then when you want to switch a color, if you want to, so I showed you before how to switch the colors. I didn't show you how to switch the colors. I showed you examples of ones where the colors have been switched. So there's that. So if you want to switch colors, I'll show you how to do that too in just a minute. Yes, yesterday's video should be on YouTube. I'll just check and see, because for some reason, even though I push public, it's making them private. So I have to go back and push private. And I don't know if it's just like if I need to update my app or something. I'm going to try and do that today. But every time that I do a video that's private, it seems to like make that the default setting. So I did some videos for some kits recently. And ever since then, every single video has been private too. So I feel like I probably need to I don't know, maybe I changed the settings or something. I feel like I'm good with technology, and then all of a sudden, something will happen and I'll be like, excuse me? That's not how I did it. So you can totally see where I've snagged the threads here. It's not laying nicely, and that's because I went through the threads right there. But we'll cover it up with this next round, so it's not that big of a deal. I would just try your best to not snag them, you know? And not go through some of the other threads. Jessie was so funny. She saw David and Quinn leaving to go to Little, and she's like whining, and she was like crying because she could see them leaving away, and oh my god, it was so funny. And then she ran to the bathroom, because that's where we keep her leash, And she was literally like, take me with you. Why are you leaving me? It was so cute. Okay, so I'm almost finished with this one. I'm probably just gonna end it down here. So I've just got a couple more to do. And then when I end it, I'll show you how I do another color if you wanted to swap colors. Okay, so this is how I do the color swap. So you see how this one right here, you go over, and this one here, you should go under. So what I like to do is do the over, and instead of going under, I kind of tuck this one here inside like that. Okay, so we're gonna flip it over now, and we're gonna do a knot on the back. Now, you can totally see here that all of those threads that we just woven, that we have just woven under and over all of the spokes, they're only laying on the top of the fabric. So if you snag any of them, it's gonna pull them all up. So when you do your knot here, be really careful, because if I pull this thread, all the ones on the bottom are gonna be all like constipated. Do you know what I mean? They're all gonna like that. Like clench. All right. I wish I could use better words, but hey ho, that's the look that it gives. So be really careful when you're doing your knot back here. And you don't need a big one or anything like that, but you just want to make sure that it's tight and that you don't pull too hard. Okay. So this is what we've got. All right. And then if you have to, you can always like use the eye of your needle, which is the one with the hole, okay? And like move them out a little bit if you feel like you might have pulled a little bit too much, okay? So let's get the lighter color. This is color number 8. It's not the lightest pink, but it's like the lightest coral color. Words are hard. Yeah, but like it's hard to explain like how they all like squish up together, like they all get pulled in a way, like, and I don't want to do it to mine because then I'll have to redo the whole thing. But yeah, I get a bit squished in there. Okay, so where I just went down was right here, and this is meant to be an under because this one here is over. So we're gonna go up just on the other side of that spoke, and I like to poke it out. See how it's like kind of tucked up in there? So now we just continue. This one is over, which is perfect because that's what we need to do now. Yeah? And then you continue with your over, under, just like we had before. So easy peasy. And then we just keep going round and round and round. Oh my gosh. So obviously I won't be able to finish all 5 of these. So after Quinn leaves, I'll come back and do another live later on today. And obviously it will just be like a chat and stitch one. So if you miss it, it's totally fine. It won't be like instruction, if you know what I mean, because I've already shown you how to do them. But it'll also be good because then people in the States, they can have a little chat if they want to. So with these big ones like this, the biggest circles, obviously you just keep going round and round and round and round and round. So this is sometimes where people will switch to 12 strands instead of just doing 6, because it's like, Lord, you just keep going around. But you want to keep going around. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't just stop and be like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to do it. You know? You have to keep going around and covering all of the spokes. Because this doesn't really look like a flower. All right? You need to cover all of the spokes. That's like one of the biggest pet peeves I have with I see other people's work and I'm like, oh, it was so good. You could have just covered the spokes. Cover them. Because it doesn't really look finished if you can still see the spokes poking out. And I've got a little trick that you can use to cover the spokes if you're like, oh, I really don't want to do this anymore. You know, you've gone around and around and around, and you're like, ugh, I can't fit. Or you made one a little bit too long or whatever. And that's to add a little stem stitch on the outside. Let's see if we can get this underneath here. I still need to go around a couple more times though, because it's not done enough to do a stem stitch and it cover them, you know? Now, again, this is just something that some people can do. You don't have to do a stem stitch around the outside. And if you have a different way of doing it, then you do it that different way, girl. That's fine. Oh, it's so slow. So slow on the hoop stand because you're like all these weird angles. And then trying not to snag like anything else that you've made. Some people do them last though, because like I said, if you snag any of these here, if you pull them out, yeah, then you kind of have to redo it, or finagle to like kind of pull these ones and pull that one to try and get them in the right place. So yeah, it is a bit tricksy. Let's see here. Good morning from Oklahoma. This is so much fun. Yay. Perfect. Oklahoma. It must be really early there. Like really early there. Okay, so this is just about the time when I can start to do the stem stitch, because do you see I can only see the spokes just a wee bit there. Okay. So the stem stitch is like this. And I've done the stem stitch on all the other flowers that you saw. Sorry. So this is how you do the stem stitch. So you're going to make your stitches about as long as the spokes. You want them to be a little bit long, but not, you know, super long. So we're going to go about like this. Okay. So you're going to go back down into, again, this is optional. You do not have to do this. If you're like, I'm happy going around and covering the spokes how they are, that's fine. This is also a good way to end it if you don't like really tall flowers, because do you see how, you can't see. Do you see how far it's off the hoop? And these as well. They really are raised up off the hoop. But these ones aren't as much, and that's because I only went around to cover the spokes. And then I did the stem stitch around it so that they didn't get built up too much. So it's just a preference. Whatever you decide that you like. So we're going to go like this. You're going to go down. You're going to leave your loop. Let's put it in the middle maybe. Tori, come on, get it together. And then you're going to come up in between the two of those. So right in the middle. Again, on the outside. And again, not through the threads. So this is just through the fabric. Okay? And pull that like that. And then you do another one. And from here to here, and this where we just came up and where you're going to go down, these are going to be equal. So we don't want to come down way over here. We just want to go like a little half stitch, because we want these to be about the same length. Leave your loop and then come up where you went down the first time and pull it like that. So as you go around, you're kind of just covering your spokes. And you're making a nice little like ropey type pattern around the outside. Now again, I know I say it a lot, but if you don't like the look of it, then don't do it. So it's totally fine if you're like, I like the woven wheel roses and I like how raised up they are. Like Lindsay just said, I love how they're raised up. That's amazing. Like, Uh-oh, what's going on here? Oh, it's the end. It's the tail of this one that I've pulled through. And that's all right, you know? If you like it how you like it. I've got a friend who just doesn't like them, period. She's like, I hate how they look. I hate how everybody uses them. I hate how people just throw them in there wherever. And I was like, oh, I think it's quite nice though. But she just doesn't like them. So now we're back where we started. So this is where I went up to do the first loop, and this is where I've just gone down to do the last loop. But I still have my thread up here. So this is what I do. I just tuck it under where we did that first, the second stitch, you know? So we went up and did the loop, and then we came up in the middle. So that's where I'm gonna go down. And you get like a little crisscrossy type situation there. So there we go. I'm gonna zoom out so you can kind of see what it looks like. And there we go. What's going on here with this situation? Yeah, and some people like them really fluffy. Some people like them a bit more. I probably made my stitches too big, and that's why they're going over like that. One thing you can do, though, if that happens to you, is you can just tack them down. So learn from my mistake, guys. Don't make them too big. There we go. So there's one. Ta-da! Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to take the darker red, and I will show you actually the straight stitch flower, because I think some people will be like, please show us. So I've got the darkest color, 1025. And like I said, I'll come back and do the other ones after Quinn's left, so that so that I'm not just like leaving you guys hanging, okay? Because I really do want to finish all the rest of them so you can kind of see. I don't like doing the woven wheel roses as just like one and done, because I feel like sometimes it's better for you to see two or three. Yeah? Where do I get my fabric from? I get mine from a local place to me here in Birmingham, so they're not online, but I go all over the fabrics and stuff in the prep video. So hopefully you'll be able to find some there. Also, with every pattern and with the Stitchalongs, you get a stitch guide and tops tips guide, and that tells you literally where to get your fabric and what kinds to get. So definitely worth the money for those. All right, so let's do some of these. I feel like, yeah, that one will be okay. Or should I do like these two? Yeah, so I'm gonna be like 1, 2, 3, or rose woven wagon wheel. Okay, yeah, got it. This one already has lines though, so I'll just do this one. Okay, so the straight stitch ones are literally just straight stitches. You go from the outside ring to the inside ring, like this. And if you didn't put your green line, I'll zoom in, don't worry. But if you didn't put your green stem far, far, far up, that's okay, because then you can just cover it with a straight stitch. You can make some of them longer, some of them shorter. But this is a really good alternative for people who just don't like the look of them, because people like different things. I don't know if you've noticed that, but people do. So it's good to have a little bit of an alternative if you know, a different option. If you're like, I don't know about that. And we'll do the middles later, so you don't have to fill them in. Literally all we're doing today are filling up as many of these as you want to / as you can. Because like I said, some people would like to mix the two. Some people will want two colors. Some people want two different flowers. It's all good. My wagon wheels always start to unravel. Obviously doing something wrong. Unravel. Huh. Are you pulling them tight enough, maybe? You're going like over and under all the right ones. Have you made flowers with the Boolean knot stitch? I have, but not in a stitch along or in a, you guys are gonna think I'm really weird for this, or a pattern, because they really creep me out. They really creep me out. I don't know what it is. They look like maggots, or they look like some kind of weird caterpillar thing. I don't know, but whenever I see them, I'm just like, ugh. It's totally a me thing, and not a, I'm just being weird. But yeah, when I was learning and like trying different stitches and stuff, I tried them to make sure I knew how to do them. And then after that, I was like, right, done. Because they really creep me out. Amelia, do not laugh at me. And oh my gosh, you guys, stop laughing at me. I don't know why. They just really creep me out. Oh, I'm just adding a couple more here in the little spaces. No, I totally think they look like caterpillars. Yes. And maybe it's because the first ones I saw were like in a white color, like an off-white. I just Googled Boolean and started to itch immediately. Yes, thank you. Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I don't know what it is about them, but I like when I see them, I'm like, oh, they look pretty on other people's, but then, oh, I just don't like them. Okay, so we've got this one, and then if you really wanted to, you could take a lighter color. Look at me, always going above and beyond. Huh. I just always got to do the most. Why can't I just leave it? I'm going to take the darker color that we used before, and I'm going to do 3 strands and just add a little bit of a straight stitch as like a little accent, okay? And don't forget, I will be back later, okay? So I hope you're not like, she's leaving us hanging. I love Boolean knots when someone else does them. They are really faffy, if you know what I mean. They are a little bit so I'm just adding some straight stitches. This is just like a nice straight stitch flower. And again, we'll do the middles later. And they don't have to be in every single straight stitch. They can just be in a couple. Like you can tell that I'm just kind of throwing them in there like willy-nilly, like, oh, you get a stitch, you get a stitch. They're not like spaced out necessarily, or I'm trying not to make them spaced out. Will you show the 2-tone stitch together? Is it just strands of each one? Yes, that's exactly what it is. So for that one, I think I did, let me check. I did 12 strands, and I just put 2 together. But I will show it later today when I do the next live. And then you guys can choose which one that you want. And you get a stitch. Yeah. And you get a stitch. I'm like Oprah, but like not as amazing. Like, there's no way I could even try and compare myself to Oprah. Okay, and then after that, we'll do the middles. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this one. And then I'll come back with like a part 2, and I'll just call it part 2. And then we can do some of the other ones. Yeah, I save every video, so don't worry about saving. Like, they'll all be saved. So, like, don't worry about not being able to watch it. Do you know what I mean? So there we go. So we did the 2-tone ones today already. I don't know what time it will be. I'll post it in my stories because I don't know what time she's leaving. So the reason that she's here is because they couldn't find, like, the mom is busy and the dad is busy, but he's actually needs to he sells prams, like strollers. So he actually has to travel like an hour away for his work, for training today. So that's why he can't watch her like he normally does. So it's just whenever he comes back. But I'll post it in my stories when I know. But it'll probably be like later in the afternoon / evening. So we've done this one today, the 2-tone one, which is that one. And then I showed you the alternate way to do, to fill in the flowers if you're not a fan of these. So you don't have to do both, okay? My plan initially was just to do woven wagon wheels. But I know a couple of people messaged to say, oh, I don't like the woven wagon wheels. So I thought, you know what? We can do a straight stitch flower too, and then we can see how it looks, and you guys can choose which one you want. So later, I'll show you the closed one where there's nothing in the middle, and I'll show you the 12-strand like tie-dye one. Okay? So I hope that was all right, and I will be back in a bit later to show you the rest. Okay? So make sure that you're tagging your progress with @thebarmyfox and Anchor Crafting if you want to. I'll be reposting all of them on my account, so at least you know that. And then use the hashtags, #thebarmyfoxSAL, Anchor Crafts, Anchor Crafting, or Anchor Threads. And yeah, hopefully they'll be sharing too. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk with you later. All right? Bye. Bye, bye, bye.